So yeah, I wanted to ask you about your wife's business, and now I know you're mentoring a lot of entrepreneurs, you're coaching. Um, Perhaps that was one of like the early opportunities for you to sort of contribute to someone else's
Yeah,
business.
it was.
Um, yeah, I was just curious, like your role in her business growth.
Yeah, the thing that was cool, man, is that I think so. I hit my first million at 27, just before my 28th birthday. I know we collected our millionth dollar. So I broke seven figures right before my 28th birthday. Um, and then Kim did it like at 29. So it's one thing to do it once, right? I had a lot of quote unquote friends that I'd actually, even in some cases, Derek, I'd even like employed them because they were in like a bad situation. Like they were trying to start a business and things weren't going well. One of them had a situation. He actually lives here in Austin now, which is ironic because we both ended up in Austin. Um, he did something wrong with his taxation. I don't know what the case was. He was about to get evicted. And so I gave him a job. This is when the moving company was really thriving. I gave him a job. I created a job for him. Right. And I found out after I got sick and lost the business that like he made some disparaging comments where he was like, "Oh, well, Chris was only successful because he was taking Vyvanse, right? The ADD medication." I'm like, "No, that was a crutch. That was just helping me get by, right? Like it wasn't like I was like, taking nootropics. Like it is a nootropic actually, but it wasn't like I was optimal, healthy, and thriving, and like somehow like it was just ridiculous." So he made a lot of disparaging comments. So you kind of found out who your friends were and stuff like that. Anyways, the bottom line is this: there was definitely a thought, whether I wanted to acknowledge it or not. There were people that made comments that definitely was kind of aligning with what I was thinking about myself, that it was a fluke, that what I did, like, wasn't worth anything because I lost it, because I had a business and that wasn't a business anymore. So I was kind of like, again, the imposter syndrome, like I'll never achieve what I've achieved again. I'll never reach these heights again, what have you. So with Kim, it was kind of like an opportunity to like what I perceive to be to redeem myself. Right. And then also I'm launching this podcast. And so like, if you actually care about the stuff you put out in the world, which some people don't, I think we all know that, but I do. And so I am like giving people advice. And for a long time, that's why I only did interviews. I wouldn't do a solo show because I was too embarrassed about what like I didn't have anything to offer anybody. Right. I speak very confidently now because I've just grown and matured, but there were a lot of insecurities there. And I wouldn't even do a solo episode because I was too embarrassed about what I would say. And if it was like going to get people in trouble like it did me. So with Kim, it was like, okay, I have a chance to see if like this was a fluke. And as I started to see her succeed with somewhat the same recipe of success that we had done, not only could I crystallize it because I was looking at what she was doing from a different vantage point, but then seeing the exact same methodologies and the exact same approach and the exact same mindset about starting a business, seeing it work was like, okay, we really did do something special, right? It wasn't a fluke, like it was real, right? And now we've helped countless other people do that through her business. So, yeah, man, it was great to see for me to have like that different seat. And then also too, and this was great for her, she was always kind of like in my shadow, right? Like I was the big successful entrepreneur and like was really, Chris's business. And then Kim was like doing this social media stuff. And like, oh yeah, well, Kim does social media. She plays on Facebook. Cause at this point, Facebook marketing was not a big deal. Like people like, what do you do? How does that work? And so it was cool for her. It was cool for me to see her get the recognition that she really deserved because she's a badass in her own right. Like very, 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 she's a very, very sophisticated and very, very strategic entrepreneur. Like she is a badass. And so it was really cool for me to also see like her to be in the spotlight a little bit. I have a big voice and I say a lot and she's a little bit more quiet and reserved than I am. So it was really cool to see her get that recognition as well. And that fortunately it's been a blessing because we've been able to synergistically work together. Right. So like we fortunately complement each other, not just in our personal lives, but also in our businesses. And we're able, like my strengths are complement her, weaknesses and vice versa. So yeah, man, it really, in a lot of ways, it really validated the things I did, but also helped me redeem myself, perceivingly redeem myself. Not that I needed redemption. But then also really kind of allow in a multiplicity of ways. It really was to the best benefit of both of us. And it allowed her to have a lot of confidence in herself too. I think even her parents for a long time thought that, she was successful because of me. And that, oh, well, Chris must be the brain behind her business and stuff. And so I think a lot of people thought that. So for her to really like step up and be like, no, Chris is out right now. Like Chris is not running a business at all. I'm like, it's on me. And for her to run with that, it was like a really proud moment for her. And I'm really happy that she had that.
Yeah, that's I like to hear that. It's making me think of my friend who was he was a decent pro triathlete,
Mhm.
and he married this woman who is actually even faster than he was, um, and she's a woman, so it's like doubly impressive. And so he was like, she's out there winning marathons and triathlons, and he was like, it just takes the pressure off me. Like I don't have to be the best athlete
Yeah.
anymore. He's like just staying home with the kid while his wife goes racing. Uh, so yeah, it kind of it takes the pressure off. And whenever my wife, she right now she's just with the kids, but she's every once in a while she'd be like, I'm thinking about this business idea.
Nice.
And she's like, I want to open a, home goods store or a yoga retreat center or a, whatever it is. I'm like, go on.
Yeah. It's such a blessing, man, with, if you look at where the world has trended, it's almost impossible to have a single income earning family, right? Like things cost, obviously this is contingent upon where you live in the world, but for all intents and purposes, man, like to really live comfortably, you pretty much both have to be doing something. And I think it's been a beautiful thing to see this opportunity specifically for women, um, to be able to have their cake and eat it too, right? Like to work from home, to work online, to have an online business, and to also be involved in their kids' lives, right? And so I think it's an amazing. I love the free market for that reason. It just has created this opportunity, primarily females, right? Like that's who we serve, primarily online female business owners. It's a beautiful thing, beautiful thing that they can make really good income, not feel like they're having to sacrifice in their career, but also taking what they learned when they were in the workforce, post kids, and then be able to continue to use the things that they learned, right? Like I have friends that are valedictorians and they're still using that in some capacity in their business now, even though they can't work, in the corporate 9 to 5 because they want to be involved with their kids' lives. So I think it's a beautiful thing. And I'm always advocating for more women to start businesses for that very reason.
So are you referring to startup you is teaching your clientele is mostly women?
We're about 50-50.
Okay.
As far as my audience is like 55-45. So yeah, but my wife now on her side with the Business Lounge, which is the name of her online membership program, it teaches people to launch, grow, and scale online businesses. There's a few men in there, myself included, but primarily it's majority women, and that's a big. I mean, she has over 35,000 customers that she services, and it's
Wow.
primarily, I would say 34,000 at least are women. So it's a good bit of women in that community that are actively online building their businesses,
Yeah. Wow.
or at least trying to.
Super cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even realize that you guys had
Yeah.
complimentary sort of offers like that.
Mm-hmm.